All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty interesting. Canada's automotive landscape.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at all kinds of stuff like car sales and manufacturing trends, and we're going to use data from Fleet Mobility Today.
Okay, great. Yeah, Fleet Mobility Today has some great data.
Yeah, so we'll get into the specifics in a bit, but first let's just quickly touch on Canada's overall economic picture. Like, what's the backdrop for all this automotive activity?
Yeah, good idea. Context is always important.
Okay, so according to Fleet Mobility Today, Canada's got a population of about 40.1 million, a GDP of US $2.14 trillion, and a GDP per capita of US $53,367.
Okay, so those are all pretty decent numbers, right?
Yeah, I mean, it paints a picture of a stable, developed economy.
Right, and that kind of economic stability usually means people have more money to spend, on things like cars.
Exactly, so it's all connected.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so now let's zoom in on the car market itself.
All right, let's see what's going on.
So Fleet Mobility Today says Canada has a national vehicle fleet of 25.7 million vehicles. That's a lot of cars.
Wow, that's a lot.
Right. And get this, in 2023, they sold 1.7 million new vehicles.
Wow, so that's a pretty big jump.
Right, it's a 13.4% increase from the previous year, and a lot of that growth is coming from Ontario. So clearly something's driving this big increase in sales. What do you think is going on?
Well, I think there are a few factors at play here. As we mentioned earlier, Canada has a stable economy, so people are feeling more confident about making big purchases like cars.
Right, so they've got the money and they're feeling good about spending it.
Exactly. And then you have to consider that cars are lasting longer these days, so people might be finally replacing those older vehicles that they've been holding on to.
Yeah, that makes sense. They probably been put it off for a while, and now they're like, all right, it's time for a new one.
Exactly. And there are always new and improved models coming out, so that can be a big incentive too.
Oh yeah, for sure. New car smell is a powerful thing.
Definitely. So I think it's a combination of all those factors that's leading to this surge in car sales.
Right. It's like a perfect storm of good economic conditions and people being ready to upgrade their rides.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Okay, so we know Canadians are buying a lot of new cars, but what brands are they choosing?
Yeah.
So who are the big players?
Right, the big dogs.
The top 5 brands in Canada for 2024. Ford, Toyota, Chevrolet, Hyundai, and Honda.
Okay, so a good mix of domestic and foreign brands there.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Ford is way out in front.
Really?
Yeah, like they're really dominating. And if you look at it overall, it seems like American brands are really having a moment in Canada.
That's interesting. It could be tied to manufacturing advantages or something.
Yeah.
Maybe they have more efficient production lines or better access to materials.
Okay, so people are buying cars and they're really buying a lot of Fords.
Right.
But what about specific models? Like, what are Canadians actually driving? So drum roll, please. The top 5 models in Canada in 2024 were the Ford F-Series, the Toyota RAV4, the GMC Sierra, the Ram 1500, and the Honda CR-V.
So trucks are still king.
Yeah, looks like the F-Series and the Sierra are both heavy hitters. So let's talk about the other 2 models on the list, the RAV4 and the CR-V.
Right, those are both smaller SUVs, and they seem to be gaining popularity.
Yeah, they offer a good balance of space and fuel efficiency, which appeals to a lot of people, especially those living in urban areas.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, they're easier to park, and they don't guzzle as much gas.
Exactly. Okay, so we've talked about the brands and models that Canadians are buying. But where are these cars being made?
Yeah, let's talk about the manufacturing side of things.
Okay, so Canada actually has a pretty significant automotive manufacturing industry.
Oh yeah, they got some big plants up there.
Yeah, they've got factories for Ford, General Motors, Stellantis, which includes Chrysler, Toyota, and Honda.
So they're producing vehicles for some of the biggest names in the industry.
Exactly, and that's a big deal for the Canadian economy because it creates jobs, attracts investment, and boosts trade.
For sure, it's a major driver of economic activity.
Okay, so speaking of driving, let's talk about fuel because, cars need fuel to run.
Yeah, and fuel prices have been all over the place lately.
They have. So in December 2024, the average price of gasoline in Canada was US $1.20 per liter, and diesel was US $1.17 per liter.
Okay, so those are still pretty high.
Yeah, they are. And for comparison, back in March 2024, electricity was US 12 cents per kilowatt for households and 11 cents for businesses.
So electricity is significantly cheaper.
Yeah, it is. And that's got a lot of people thinking about electric vehicles. So what do you think the future holds for cars in Canada?
Well, I think we're going to see a continued shift towards more fuel-efficient and electric vehicles. And I think we'll also see more innovation in terms of autonomous driving and connected car technology.
Oh yeah, for sure. The future of driving is looking pretty high-tech. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive into Canada's automotive scene.
Great discussion.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. And be sure to let us know your thoughts on the future of cars in Canada. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, until next time.
See ya.
Fleet Mobility Today.